Rika bonds with Auntie, Yuta meets a creepy kaiju girl, and Akane Shinjo is a god, apparently. The epic superhero antics of the Gridman Alliance return in another episode of SSSS.GRIDMAN, an episode which was absolutely all over the fucking place with everything that it was trying to do. This was an interesting episode, as it's pretty much made firmly clear to everyone that Akane Shinjo is indeed the villain of the series. A lot of that is because there's a new character who's introduced in this episode, this little girl who is absolutely disturbing in every sense possible. She's a kaiju, and she's apparently a natural-born kaiju who lives in this world, one who was not actually created by Akane, but she knows of her existence, and she actually ends up revealing this fact to Yuta. For what reason? I don't know. Rika also desperately tries to bond with Auntie, which leads to a weird scene of her actually taking her to her home to give him a bath. Is this a thing that happens in Japan? That's kind of strange. But without a shadow of a doubt, one of my favorite scenes from this episode is when Utsumi actually ends up going on a date with Akane Shinjo. It's a really great moment between the two characters, as they seem to have a lot in common, their love of superheroes and kaiju, and this of course is something that probably brings Utsumi to his knees, as, let's face it, he's completely obsessed with Akane. Unfortunately for him, this date actually ends up being something of an interrogation, as the only reason she's even interacting with him in the first place is to learn a little bit more about Yuta, his relationship to Gridman, and yet we still don't quite know what her overall plan is with this guy, but it is made pretty clear that she doesn't necessarily like Yuta. She even goes as far as to asking Auntie to kill him, which he certainly obliges to and goes throughout most of the episode desperately trying to find him and kill him. It's worth mentioning that this episode did not even have like a big Gridman scene. There was no kaiju battle. The good thing is there was a little bit of action in this episode, however. At the very end, when Auntie is trying to attack Yuta, he is saved by Max, and Max is just such a cool looking character. In fact, all of Neon Genesis Junior High are really great, as they seem to be the personal bodyguards of all of these characters, following them around. And what's funny is, how could you not even notice that these guys are in the room? They look like they're a bunch of freaking cosplayers. They stick out like a sore thumb. There's a scene where Max is clearly across the street from Yuta and this kaiju girl. How do they not see the giant man with the metal ninja mask? He looks like a Ninja Turtle villain. Again, it's moments like these that make me realize the show itself does not try to take itself too seriously, and that's honestly one of the most fun things about it. But one of the biggest things about this episode was this kaiju girl who was introduced. When Yuta was walking through a dark alley, as most people usually do, he's confronted by this creepy little girl who is able to change her size. She claims to be a kaiju, and honestly, I can believe it. Look at her batshit crazy expressions. Unlike Auntie, however, she doesn't seem to be very dangerous outside of the fact that she looks like nightmare fuel, and she's simply there just to warn Yuta about Akane and what her overall plan could be, and why she's even doing this stuff in the first place. And as I predicted, and probably a lot of other people, the only reason that she's creating these giant monsters is to get rid of things that she doesn't like, whether it be people or things in the city. It's because of this that she's sort of become the personal god of the city, being able to change it as much as she wants without any consequences, because of course after these events happen and they end up getting wiped away, everyone just forgets everything. She's able to get away with this stuff, and it probably has to do with that weird, creepy guy, Alexis, the villain of the series, whose, again, true motive is absolutely mysterious. How he's connected to Gridman is still a mystery, and how this ties into the fact that there are actual real kaiju in this world adds a lot more mystery to this one right here. So what's the rundown on this episode of Gridman? This episode was just all over the place with its pacing and its scenes, but they still managed to be in very atmospheric. One of the best things about Gridman is just its production value. It's a very nice looking show to look at. Even something as simple as the backgrounds or the environments that the characters interact in is always really fun to watch, and it's that type of show that you can rewatch and see something new every single time. But like I said, this episode was just sort of all over the place with all of these characters and a lot of weird interactions that I didn't expect to see. Rika and Auntie is something that they've built up over the course of the last couple of the episodes, and she sort of comes across as like a sisterly character to him, and I think that's a nice contrast to Akane, who seems to treat him like crap, giving him orders, and when he fails, she just ends up beating him or throwing her cell phone into his face. It shows how cold and uncaring she really is. Utsumi and Akane actually going on a date I thought was really clever, especially with their mutual love of the Ultra series, giant superheroes, and kaiju. You almost felt like there could actually be something blossoming between these characters until you realize that no, Akane is a really good person at playing people, and she's able to use her cute and bubbliness to sort of like get under people's skin and to manipulate them in the best way possible. I guess that's what it means to be a god. But it's Yuta's interactions with this kaiju girl on this train, going outside of the city and getting this big exposition dump about the fact that Akane is bad. That's one of the biggest deals of the show, and I can't wait to see how Yuta is going to go from here, if he's simply going to confront her. And even if Akane is going to end up being the main threat, it's probably going to be the one that is controlling her. But again, why this is a mystery. Also, this episode absolutely played with my heart. I thought that we were going to see Gridman go through another one of his transformations, especially because they focused on the one pretty boy member of Neon Genesis Junior High, and I thought that with that one scene of him actually working at Rika's store, that this was sort of like a sign that, oh yeah, we're going to see him next, and we probably will in the next episode, but I can't wait to see more of that. I hope the next episode gets more traditional by giving us another big, bombastic, and crazy action scene, but still, for what it is, this was a great episode for all of the good character moments, and of course, more mystery and new characters. So, I love this one right here. I'm going to give this episode a 4 out of 5. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it if any of you guys did watch it, and you can tell me all of them in the comment section below, and what you hope to see from the rest of Gridman. Thank you guys for watching this review. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.